Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, Shem Kwakadash. Double honors once again go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there, pushing this truth in honesty and sincerity across the four corners. Alright, this is Nama with the DC Camp, and I ran across this article and I thought I'd have a little fun with it. If you don't know by now, this educational system, especially here in America, is a joke. They make you jump through all kinds of hoops, especially when it comes to our people. All right, like I said, this was all plotted out against us. You know, you'll hear counter arguments. No, you can do anything. Bullshit. All right, and you also have to understand when people come from that or make that opposing argument, they haven't lived through what we lived through. All right. But soon it's going to get tough, and I can't wait personally to see these people that always talk that bullshit. See, what's coming is going to bring people down to more or less the same level. All right, those are always talking shit. Oh, look at those lazy blacks. Yeah, I know. All this bullshit, not realizing the people pulling the strings. All right, you have an advantage just by the fact that you look like them. All right. Now, having said that, let's get back to this. Doctor caught looking up how to treat a patient's cyst on YouTube. I had heard this several years ago, so it's not a big surprise to me, but you know, it's all the same. I just thought I'd do a video about it anyway. All right. And especially in the medical field, you gotta understand these people. Let me just say this: if you're in it for the money, which I don't know the percentage of it that are, you'd have to be really stupid to admit that. But if you're in that profession, in the medical profession, just for money, you're in the wrong fucking place. All right. Given the amount that you are expected to retain as far as knowledge, especially I would say the most astute, aside from the surgeons who are some arrogant bastards, any of the specialties in the medical field, but the ER surgeons really got to be, think quick, problem solvers, things like that nature. Now, they're about their business, all right? But these general practitioners, where you're not really under that amount of stress and have to do things quickly, in other words, there's levels to this, as in anything else, all right? But this is something you don't want your patients to see you doing, looking up something on Google or whatever. Hell, I could have did that, but that just goes to show you that this system that we're in, it promotes, holds certain professions, holds them to be as glamorous like the medical profession. Oh man, I mean, from being around, probably a lot of you have had, they have what's called a God complex. A lot of them do, especially the surgeons that I just mentioned. All right. Depending on their specialty, they could be thoracic surgeons, which they go into your chest and do all that, neurosurgeons go into your brain, any other field, psychiatry as opposed to psychiatry. Now, the difference being a psychiatrist is an actual MD, all right? He does a surgical rotation. He goes in there and he knows what he's doing, so he can talk about it. A psychologist, all right, he's a PhD. He has no medical training, all right? So he can just recommend things, and he's going at it purely as an academic, all right? He can suggest certain things as far as prescriptions. Psychiatrists also, the MD, all right, what is it called? He will have an RX license, like you have some nurses that they will call nurse practitioners. Nurse practitioners. That means they can issue medication. They've gone to you know, pharmacy school, whatever have you. That's the difference. So a lot of people don't know that, surprisingly. There's a difference between a psychiatrist. Think Hannibal Lecter. He was an actual medical doctor, all right? And a psychologist, which is just a PhD. All right, so now we got that straightened out. Again, you got to understand the arrogancy. You know, we're getting into how proud the so-called white man is, all right? And his whole reputation since coming out the caves, all right? Now, like I say, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, all right? But if you really think about it, you can see why he's hard pressed to. He's always got to play the hero, especially with this. Yeah, when you get in law enforcement, these motherfuckers are so jacked up and, you know, the bad guy, and all this shit. They have to, and people around the world are sick of it because America has always had that cowboy slash policeman of the world type, you know, mentality against what they consider lesser beings. All right, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know where you've been for however many years you've been on this earth. All right, everybody's seeing, everybody's sick of it. You know, and that goes into when we talk about. In fact, let's go and get it. We go into Habakkuk. Let's see. These are traits, all right, of the individual that we're talking about. In this case, the so-called white man who is of the nation of Edom. That's his biblical nationality. All right. We're going to start at 4. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. And it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." And that's the Israelite. 5. "Yea, also because he transgresses by wine." Remember I said he's all over the world. "He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home." Hence, when you go back to Genesis, we're talking about what? Genesis 4. And that curse that was put on him, he would be a what? A fugitive and a vagabond. Vagabond being wanderer. All right. "Who enlarges his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied." He's got to have it all, Jack. Everything. Doesn't matter if it's your resources. Oh, well, you sign this contract here, we'll provide you with these certain service, and then he always reneges on it. But in the meantime, you sign that deal with this motherfucker, so you're locked in. All right, it says, "But gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." What did the Greeks do? And subsequently, what did the Romans do? We're talking about the same people. Edom. All right. The same characteristics as you have what America does. All right. Democracy. All right. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee?" Because like I said, people are tired of the bullshit. They know now through your wine, your philosophy and doctrine, your democracy so-called, is fucked up. It's nothing but death that's associated with it. "And thou shalt be for booties unto them. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the voice of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein." I read all that to say this, because it goes hand in hand. You have a system that is built that promotes so-called white supremacy, but it's Edomite supremacy, all right? And nothing represents that more, except for maybe law enforcement, than its medical system. And if you read John D. Rockefeller's Creed, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's bullshit," but look at all these sources. Library.Brown, that's Brown University. That is a ivory, one of those ivory schools, all right? Brown, you know, Harvard, Yale, all that. The Credo of John D. Rockefeller Jr., John D. Rockefeller Masonic Creed, Australian National Review, NPS.gov, John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s Creed, all right? Snopes.com, earthchanges.ning.com, let's see, Secret Covenant, all right, unforum.org, zaopera.news, reddit.com, American Evil Tycoon and Philanthropist John D. Rockefeller. And a part of that credo, it says, here it is, we will keep their lives short. Let me just go into, let's see which one I want to use. It's earthchanges.ning. It says, a passage from the writing by one of the founders of the Rockefeller family, J.D. Rockefeller. This is how he describes the dealings with the common people. He says, we will cut their lives short and keep their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. Think of all the medications, all the side effects. Whereas with the natural herbs that the Most High made, you don't get that. Alright? Why are these things made this way? You remember, how did John D. Rockefeller make his money? So back in the, I believe it was the 30s and the 40s, there was promoted, this big shift in the medical profession, how it was promoted. And they were instructed to, how am I going to say this? The herbalist, the natural herbalist, was considered after this to be a quack, Looney Tunes, and in the meantime, they were promoting their science, their medicine. And in 2015 to 2017, I think it was 87 of these herbalists, including Dr. Sebi, that were, I don't know Dr. Sebi's particular case, I don't know if he died of natural causes, but I know a lot of those people, the 87, they were murdered. Look it up for yourself, alright? You have to ask yourself, why? Alright? And then 3 years later, here comes the C, the number, alright? It says, we will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they never see what happens. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and calming agents in both food and water and air wherever they turn to poison. The soft metals make them lose their minds, such as what? Lead. Alright. And other ones say we will promise to find a cure from our many funds, mercury and all, that will be considered that, and yet we will give them more poison. Chemical toxins will be absorbed by the skin of morons who believe certain hygiene and beauty products presented by great actors and musicians will bring eternal youth to their faces and bodies, particularly women. Oh my God. All that shit, Maybelline and whatever else they be advertising. It's just constant commercials and shit, alright? And all this shit gets into your system over the years, and damn. It says, let's see, and through their thirsty and hungry mouths, we will bring their minds and systems destroy of internal organs, reproduction. However, their children are born disabled and deformed, and we will hide this information. The poison will be hidden in everything around them and what they drink, eat, breathe, and carry. We need to be resourceful in spreading the toxins because they can see far. We teach them that poison is good with funny records and music tones on TV, those jingles. Those who search for it will be helpful. We will register them to expel our poison. They will see that our products are used in film, and they will get used to it and will never know their true effect. Why? One of the reasons why that's so successful is because the people look up to these so-called celebrities as demigods. Hey, that's what you get for idol worship, But back to this, yeah, it's going to get into how through promotion they encourage people to go in debt because it has become a racket. I'm going to say the late 70s is when the system started as we know it to be today. Because Jake, coming out of the so-called civil rights movement and all that, started to, we know that the so-called civil rights movement was a big-ass setup because Jake was doing, the so-called integration. Jake was doing just fine and better before then. So that was just all a plan to get our money and nothing in return to this day, because they didn't want it. You got to remember, after the Civil War, with all these amendments, 13, 14, 15, that were supposed to help us, which they didn't. The 13th Amendment was not what you or anybody else thinks it was. For the simple fact that emancipation does not mean what you think it means. All right. So all along, it was a trick. We built settlements, towns, to get away from the oppression, the violence. And what did they do? Destroyed our towns, usually because of some bullshit claim that Jake, messed with one of their cave bitches. And they used that as a reason to do what they did. A lot of our towns are underwater, bottom of lakes. So all along, we were never meant, all right, to be self-sufficient. This was done on purpose. And of course, we know that we're under the curses, but a lot of people, especially these foreigners, they come over here and they think, well, no, y'all were just lazy. No. Why don't you study up on history before someone, reacts a certain way that I guarantee you will not like, after opening your mouth, not knowing what you're talking about. All right, not that I'm encouraging that, but again, this is, people are just tired, Now, let me read this because I didn't want to take it this long, but it says a lot of arguments have been made in recent years too at universities, abilities to actually prepare folks for careers. As actual work experience and evident work in self-started projects and clear abilities to pursue and achieve professional level deliveries are more in demand than 62 credits of irrelevant coursework and another 62 credits of heading over to ratemyprofessor.com to find out the easiest pathway to a decent GPA. It's a racket. I'd said for years, why do you have this set up the way it is if a person is proficient in something? It has nothing to do with what you got the system started. Maybe I don't want to be a doctor. Maybe I don't want to be whatever you've got, in these career paths. They get you to go to your career counselor in high school and all that shit. You're being guided along, pushed in this particular, in other words, you're being, what's the word I'm looking for? All along, you're being conditioned, and that's why a lot of Jake just can't, because it's a whole different, it's just not meant for us, is what I'm trying to say. So all along, you go through your school, you start out in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, all along, and you're being, what's the word I'm looking for? God dang it, it escapes me. Oh man, what's the word we use? Indoctrinated. That's what I was trying to say. You're being indoctrinated into the system, and a lot of, especially our people, just it doesn't sit well with us. It's a spiritual thing. All right. Continuing on, it says, but there are some jobs where you probably want someone to attain some type of certification, as in the medical profession, you would hope. Take the medical field, for instance. Med school, while prohibitively expensive, still puts folks through a grueling gamut of endless work. I remember, 2011, when that, what was it called? Oh man, what was it called? It was, there was several things going on. Gaddafi, Mubarak was kicked out of Egypt. Let's see, what is it? The Wall Street protests. Everybody was talking about, the student loans and all that. And this one guy, he said his son, I remember the march, he said his son was, because of med school, he was $450,000 in debt. Wow. Like, wow. It says so much so that it'd be hard to argue that anyone would take the job just for a paycheck, like I started saying at the outset. Sure, after a while, doctors can become jaded or disillusioned with their work, but becoming a certified MD or DO is no joke. But that doesn't mean that getting through med school and then rotations automatically imbues you with a wealth of encyclopedic knowledge you can consult on a whim. There's a show, I'm in DC, up in Baltimore, it was called, oh man, what was it? Damn it. Oh, something 24/7. What the hell was the name of that show? Um, Damn it. But they had one lady, they were following people that were in residency and things of that nature. And I know there was a world renowned gynecologist. I can't remember his name, but he died not long after that. Oh, what the hell is that? Let's see. Hold on. Let me see something here. Let's see. It's got me curious now. I can't believe. When I get it here, you're going to say, how did you forget that? Baltimore. Whoops. Baltimore hospitals. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, let's try this. Here it is. Motherfucker, I can't believe it. Johns Hopkins. God dang, I can't believe I forgot that. Johns Hopkins 24/7. That was the name of the show. And this one Edomite, you know, was on her way becoming a doctor. She just lost it. She was going through the car garage and they were bleeping her out because she was like, I'm tired of this bullshit. Because you would hear some older doctors, and I've been told this, you know, they have a thing where they would, during their rotations, they would have to stay up so many days, literally, all right, and you think about that, you say, I don't want nobody that's been staying up for 3 days straight working on me, you know, that's to, you know, you hear the old doctors, well, shit, I was up for 96 hours straight, and all that, you know, whatever, but a lot of people had complained, you know, that should have been done away with, you know, a long time ago. I don't know if that's like a rite of passage or something to, you know, to a certain extent, you can say maybe up to 24 hours, all right, because anything else, you just like, you know, on neutral and something like that where you got to be quick, nah. And then there's a drug thing, and I worked in a hospital, and yeah, just the simple fact that you see things that in that profession, you know, you experience, you know, child abuse, you got to deal with domestic abuse, elder abuse, any kind of abuse, and then why people are in there in the first place, all kinds of fucking stories and shit, you know, eventually going to get to you over time, and then you start to abuse certain things, you know. They got access to, but they clamp down a lot of those, what they call narcotics vaults and things of that nature. You got to go through a whole lot of security, all right. But in any case, yeah, this whole thing is set up to where, like I said, it's a racket, and the universities and, you know, professors, whatever have you, they you know, get these exorbitant salaries, and, you know, wow. Let's see. Folks who said that they were med students in the comments section backed this argument up, stating that even the most seasoned of doctors refreshed their knowledge, while other commenters remarked that it was probably much better for the TikToker that their doctor was double and triple checking correct treatment plans and procedures before giving them a diagnosis. That's another way to look at it. All right. But come on now. It says, but there were some patients who were a bit more dubious of this practice and shared medical anecdotes of their own, like one TikToker who stated that a doctor's advice on how to best take care of their girlfriend's broken foot was a verbatim excerpt from the first page of Google search results. Others turn the entire thing into a joke, discussing the economics of going to a YouTube doctor. That would be, I guess it's $36,281 plus YouTube premium fee. How would you feel if you consulted with a doctor only to find out that they gave you a bunch of information you could have searched up on your smartphone while browsing the internet on the toilet? See? Alright. So here's the thing, and this is, I gotta get this scripture real quick. I don't want to forget this one. This is Job 13, which I probably should have started with, and 4. It says, "But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value." And it tells you in the Apocrypha, if I can find it, about you're supposed to honor the physician, but these people go further, and what do? They want to worship people like this. Let's see. Oops. Giving him his just due. But you don't worship the motherfucker. That, the way this is promoted, especially over here in the West. Come on now. Let's just say physician. I don't know, algorithm on my this particular here it is. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. Where else can I go? Let's do it this way. I know it's going to be a long, hopefully not too long. I got to get it though. Let's see. Nope, still didn't do it. Wow. Let's see. Let's try it this way. Come on now. Crap. Let's see. Sirach. Yeah. Sirach 38:1. Wow. All right, let's go. All right. Honor a physician. No wonder I didn't get it right. With the honor due unto him, for the uses which you may have of him. For the Lord hath created him. See? For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. But here's the problem, and this is what I refer to as their pride. 3, the skill of the physician shall lift up his head. In the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. Gotta read 4. The Most High Yahweh hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor him. Remember I mentioned earlier about 87 of these herbalists that were murdered? Yeah, this is all by design. This is about money and power. Hey, so once again, this has been on from this article it's called Detractify. Alright, Dr. Caught looking up how to treat a patient's cyst on YouTube in viral TikTok. Hey, so with that, Shalom.